Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Legal Talk with Alina. And Happy New Year to everybody. We are now coming back from a long holiday break, and I am thrilled to have back Ryan Conn, expert in all things business. He's an accountant, a business consultant, former SWAT team sergeant, and owner and entrepreneur of CS Business Consulting, which is only one of his many businesses. So, Ryan is the guy that you go to not only for team leadership building and creating your own business, but also to ensure that one of the things that I love this subject, so I may geek out a little bit, Ryan, is the succession planning. So, Ryan, welcome. I hope you and your family had a wonderful holiday and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. We were very blessed over the holidays, and Happy New Year to you. I'm excited to be back. This is a passionate topic for me.
Well, I have to tell you, this really segues perfectly into my, role as an attorney with estate planning because I see so often um people dealing with not only in death, but also when a parent becomes incapacitated and that parent is either an owner, a sole owner, or a partner in a business, and the family is left with what do we do? Because there's nothing in place. So, can you tell our audience the importance of succession planning as a business owner, whether it's a solopreneur or a partnership or multiple owners?
Absolutely. Succession planning really is critical to success as an owner or partner in a company, especially for that long term. In fact, a lot of people, when you think about the business or corporate aspect of it, would say that a good succession plan is the definition of long term success. Succession planning allows you to create your legacy and then pass it down. Or if your legacy is to just exit and be bought out and live off, rest on your laurels and your income at that point, succession planning is what's going to do that. And there are a ton of pitfalls, more than just pitfalls in trying to navigate succession planning. The number one error is not having planning at all. The best thing you can do is start early, talk to experts. It would definitely be in everyone's best interest to have a combination of a tax planning, accounting based advisory firm that is looking to your future and building your path that way, as well as in combined conversations with the attorneys that are going to write contracts, operating agreements, buy sell agreements. If you're looking into situations like trusts and setting up an estate, what's going to happen to your estate? Is there going to be probate and several heavy issues that, I'll be honest, most people don't like talking about, but are necessary to have that long-term success.
Say, and this is why I love this topic, and I'm so glad you're here to discuss it because I'm dealing with a family whose father passed away. He was the owner of multiple companies in multiple jurisdictions, which would mean in different states. And there was no succession plan. And even in his trust plan, he did not have, even though the trustee is permitted to continue business, to conduct his business, the problem is that the trust does not have any ownership or transfer of the shares to be able to equate that. So now the family is required to do probates in all these different jurisdictions. So that begs the question, Ryan, what does someone need to do? What are the first steps when looking at how to properly plan for a succession?
I think that's a really important question. It seems very basic. Like, what do I do? We tell people that all business owners have one thing in common. It doesn't matter where you are, what industry, is that eventually you're going to stop doing business one day. You're going to get out of that business, whether it's planned, whether it's through a COVID type of situation and you get turned upside down, or it's through death or retirement. Everyone stops at some point. So the first thing you need to look at is, under good conditions, planned, desirable circumstances, what does your exit look like? What do you see as yourself, age wise, monetarily speaking, function, location, family legacy, and passing things on? Is it a family business where you want your kids and your grandkids to take it over? Or are you looking at just doing a $5, $10, $50 million buyout and you're done, walk away, hands clean? Those are different situations entirely and require a lot of different dominoes to be put in place. So what we do is we ask everyone, what does your succession plan look like? What is your vision? What is the dream fantasy scenario? And then later on, we'll ask, okay, if everything goes to heck in a handbasket, where do you want things to go when you're gone?
So I would imagine when preparing the succession plan, obviously, this is something that has to be done, especially within a partnership or multiple owners of a company. That this also has to be within the bylaws or articles of incorporation, and how the other partners may or may not buy out, whether, let's say, one of the partners passes away or something unavoidable happens and he becomes incompetent or incapacitated to continue to work. Have you come across these situations? And if so, how does one kind of maneuver themselves through this?
It has to be written down. It has to be thought about and it has to be written down. We've all heard about people writing a contract on a napkin or just a verbal agreement and a handshake, and those can go to an aspect if people are trustworthy, nobody gets into a traumatic situation, nobody's life really changes or derails in any capacity. Things outside of your control can happen. You could be the most upstanding person ever, but then you have a child or a family member that gets into an addictions and starts stealing and doing malicious behavior, and you have to pivot, and you, the honest business owner, are beholden to a negative situation. But getting down to brass tacks, and what happens to most people, if you and I are going to start a lawn mowing company together, we're probably going to take our mutual skills, throw some of our dollars into a pot together and start buying equipment and mowing lawns and knocking on doors. Well, 30 years later, we're in 5 different states. We're one of the top lawn mowing and landscaping places in the region, and one or both of us is ready to exit. We probably did not set up really good articles of incorporation 30 years ago. We probably have not got really articulate bylaws and operating agreements written over time. So truthfully, most people don't set that stuff up right from the beginning. So I would encourage people to spend the extra money. It's going to cost you a couple of few $1,000s to get those written, to get those drawn up. But that, we'll just say $3,000 to $5,000 investment on the front end could save you 3 to 5 million on the back end. So it's definitely got an ROI to have it written down, consulted by an expert, and planned out. So start there, get it written down, and understand that you have to have this conversation from day one.
See, and I love the fact that you're stating that and stressing it has to be written, it has to be clear. And I'm one of those attorneys that I truly believe that the best way of speaking or explaining something is in just basic language. It doesn't have to be the big 25-cent words or whatever you call, the big pontification of words and stuff. It just needs to be simple. It needs to be direct and linear in many ways to avoid those pitfalls, like, say, family members now holding the bag going, fighting for who's in control or what they can do. So let's just say I'm going to throw a scenario. Okay. Say it's an international or national corporation, 3 partners. It's privately owned between 3 partners. One partner is definitely ready to retire, wants to be bought out, sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais. And the other partner's on the fence and one wants to maintain the business. In that scenario, say they come to you and go, Ryan, this is where we're at. We kind of got the iffy partner really wants to bring his son in, one wants to stay in. How would you counsel them in that to ensure that there is a smooth transition to allow the one partner to go on to the beach while also then bringing in maybe the next generation of ownership?
So I would ask a series of questions. One, I would get all 3 of them in the same room and I get uniform agreement on what everyone's opinion is on their status in the company. So with partner 1, I said we would identify that goal. Is your vision of succession planning to be completely bought out? Do you want to be bought out right now, one lump sum, pay a whole bunch of tax, and then use what's left over to put in some type of investment retirement account. You can live off of dividends. You can live off of Social Security, whatever other 401ks, 457s, Roths, whatever you've got going on. You're going to start living off retirement in the buyout plan. Do you want to do so? That means these guys most likely are going to have to go finance a situation, take out a loan against their position, and then buy you out and get an increase in ownership in their company, right? So we're buying the stock back from the partner. That's the most common, simplest way to do it. And then you can also individually finance. Hey, with our existing profits of the company, 433, 33, 33, well, we're going to buy, the half of that each, and we're going to run in here and we're going to say we're going to buy you out over 3 years or 5 years. So here's the year one payout, better tax for the guy getting bought out, easier cash flow on the people doing the buying, and then we can milk that out over time. So they're going to get this perpetual expense, lower income, so you're not going to get your teeth kicked in taxes in the 1 year buyout plan. If you sell something for $5 million, that's another trap we see people fall into, is that they don't plan for taxes. They don't plan for attorney's fees. They don't plan for various other things that occur, and they're planning on having this much money, and then they get their legs cut out from underneath them, and they have to go back to work or come up with other plans. I would ask about potentially mentoring the son into the current position and allowing him to create a buy-in process, a path to buy-in, so he could create ownership. And that would probably have key metrics to say, once he achieves this level, it will open up 10% more shares or 5% more shares. Once he reaches this level, he can open 5 more shares. So it's easier on the young guy who doesn't have a bunch of money, and it's easier on the old guys to monitor process and say, well, this isn't working out. You're only a 5% shareholder at this point, and we can back out safely. And of course, the guy that wants to stay, let him run, let him work, let him grind it out.
Yeah, and I love that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to get into more legal uh, issues regarding entrepreneurship. Thank you, Ryan. Tune right back in with more on Ryan's expertise and entrepreneurial success.